order, and if you would please stand. And we're going to call on Mr. Buddy Fowler, our councilman, to lead us in our invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's bow our heads. Our Father, we're truly thankful for the many blessings you brought into our life. We're truly thankful for the sunshine we've been having here lately, Father. We ask that you continue to bless this town and bless its citizens and bless the world, Father, and help it mend itself. Father, we know through you all things are possible, and we ask you to help in this endeavor. Father, we pray for our military men and women overseas and those here at home and their families as well. We ask you to continue to be with them and bring them home safely. We ask all these things in your most precious name. Amen.
Amen. And if Mayor Pro-Tem would, Don Helms will lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And at this time, we are going to have a special recognition and swearing-in ceremony of our new council person, Hugh Cannady.
Get him, Hugh.
You introduce your wife. You introduce your wife and your son.
My name is Hugh Cannady, this is my wife Jamie, and my son Hudson. I'd like to thank y'all for being here. We've been here for another reason, but I'm still glad you're here. I, Hugh Cannady,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina,
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
and I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state,
maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
At this time, I would like to call upon Sandy Moreau to come forward with our Beautification Enhancement Committee, and she is going to be presenting the awards to the Business of the Month, which is Surf City Barbecue. I don't know if anyone's here tonight from Surf City Barbecue. Maybe not, so we'll get their award to them. And then the Home of the Month is 405 Adelaide Drive. We appreciate it.
I'll give a shout out to my husband too.
Thank you. Our next item would be the adoption of the agenda.
I make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose, same sign. Motion carried. Approval of the consent agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carried. At this time, we will have a public hearing on the comprehensive land use plan, and I'm going to call upon Amy Kimes, our planning director, to come forward.
West McLeod.
We contracted with the Cape Fear Regional Council of Governments to perform this work, and Wes McLeod from the COG is going to be here, and he's going to give a brief presentation and answer any questions that you have about the process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Board, for having me here tonight. I believe I'll provide a brief presentation prior to opening the hearing for comments, or essentially so folks may know what it is that they may be commenting about. We provided services to the town in completion of the comprehensive land use plan. I'll caution the board, you all have seen a similar presentation, but for our folks in attendance, we're going to provide that again, a very brief overview of the land use plan. So folks may want to know exactly what a comprehensive plan is. It's commonly referred to as a land use plan, but essentially it's your policy document that helps you, helps guide you in land use decisions, and not only the town council, but also the planning board and staff, particularly as it relates to rezonings or text amendments, but also longer range capital planning, ordinance modifications, things like that, that align with the desires of your citizenry. This project began in July 2021 with the first planning board meeting in September 2021. The planning board recommended approval of this document in 2022, September 2022. At that time, it was provided to Division of Coastal Management for their 75-day minimum agency review. Between now and then, it was determined that the town would proceed with local adoption of this while waiting DCM review. And so here we are in February 2023, and we anticipate proceeding with Coastal Resources Commission certification following local adoption by the town. As part of the process, we developed top 5 public input priorities. This is based on public input meeting, an advisory committee that was composed of the town's planning board, and then also a community survey in which we received over 2,000 responses, which was quite astounding, I'll add. Number 1 being protect the environmental quality and physical integrity of the oceanfront beach that is central to the town's community identity. 2, preserve small town character through a residential development pattern of predominantly low-density single-family homes. Number 3, attract commercial businesses, particularly additional restaurant and food service options, as well as more choices for shopping and entertainment on the mainland. 4, enhance opportunities for bicycling and walking throughout Surf City for transportation and recreation. And number 5, ensure that infrastructure, that being utilities, transportation, and stormwater, keeps pace with community development. As we all know, the town is experiencing quite a bit of growth in the past several years. I just want to touch on the results of the community survey just very briefly. We received over 2,000 responses to that survey. When we began, we were hoping to get somewhere around 400 responses. So we're very pleased with the amount of input that we received here during this process. Nearly 1,300 of those were from property owners, and that's made up of year-round residents and second homeowners. I will say that quite often in beach towns, we may have more second homeowners than we have year-round residents. Here, you actually had more year-round residents participate in the survey than your second homeowners. And then 750 non-property owner responses, and those vary from renters, tourists, and other. And I'll say a great number of those other were in fact folks that are transitioning here to live here full-time at some point, and they were unsure exactly how to categorize themselves. I'll just provide a summary of two questions that we had. We had one question that asked, what is your favorite thing about Surf City? I don't think anyone will be surprised that the beach and ocean was number 1, but nevertheless, that was the number 1 response. Second being that folks really were supportive of the small town feel that exists here. Third, the local people. Fourth, folks felt that it was a very quiet community, and that's something that they certainly cherished. We also had a question about if you could improve one thing about Surf City, what would it be? We did have some non-productive responses here, but there was also a lot of similar responses that provided some good feedback for the town. First being less traffic. Folks wanted additional restaurants. Folks wanted to slow growth. This was in the midst of the parking discussion. Folks were concerned that they wanted to have free parking. That decision has somewhat been made at this point, but it was still a popular response. And then a number of responses regarding improving stormwater controls. And then lastly, there was a good deal of commentary on providing better bicycle and pedestrian facilities in the future. I'll just point out one map that's contained in that draft plan, and that is the draft future land use plan, future land use map. And this is sort of the zoning map equivalent within a land use plan. And this stipulates a generalized, desirable growth pattern in the future. And this helps guide particularly rezoning decisions that may come before this board. Now, the town is not obligated to always act in lockstep with this. Remember, this is just a guidance document. It's not regulatory. And then the districts within here have narrative summaries about which can help staff, planning board, and town council sort out, when there is a rezoning request before you, how it aligns with that particular future land use category. And that's all I have for you. Again, thank you very much for your time. I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Mayor, for the hearing.
Thank you, Wes. So at this time, we're going to request that I have a motion from the council to open up a public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Our public hearing is now open. So at this time, we're going to call on anyone that has signed up to public speak.
Matt Nichols.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of Town Council. My name is Matt Nichols. I'm an attorney in Wilmington, and I represent Evolve Companies, which you may recall had a rezoning request before council back in June. And that rezoning request was denied, and we're looking forward to revising our proposed plan and hopefully in the near future coming back to the town with a new rezoning request for the town's consideration. And this was property on roughly 27 acres on US 17, just north of the intersection at 210. I appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening, and I'll be brief. The proposed land use plan indicates that my client's property would be designated the regional mixed use, which does allow for multifamily development as part of a mixed use development. Haven't gone through the plan entirely, and I printed it out here, but I really just wanted to talk about one sentence in the plan. And it's under the regional mixed use place type description, where it indicates as a guideline or as a policy that residential uses should account for less than 50% of a development proposal and should complement a more substantial mix of commercial and office uses. As Mr. McLeod mentioned, the land use plan is not a requirement as far as that you have to follow it every time. It is a guiding principle. So we would just ask that when a rezoning request came before you for multifamily, of course, you're going to judge that on the merits of each individual request. But I think that what may be the case is it's difficult to meet that 50% commercial requirement for a number of reasons. If you just took City of Wilmington, for example, their commercial district mixed use ordinance was recently changed. It used to not have a percentage in it but when they redid their ordinance, they put the commercial percentage at 20%, and you're finding it's difficult to even get 20% in a mixed-use development. So their code even allows for a reduction of the 20% to 10% if certain criteria are met as far as where it's situated on a street. And that 20% can even be reduced to 5% if, for example, you're within a certain distance to a full-service grocery store. So in light of that, we would ask the council to consider with the rezoning request that just be taken into consideration, that it may be difficult to achieve that 50%, and there may be ample commercial in the vicinity to make the mixed-use project work with sort of more of a horizontal mixed use. Then it doesn't always have to be vertical mixed use. And that lower density doesn't always mean better development, especially with mixed-use projects. If I'm out of time, Madam Mayor, I can stop. I just had a few more points.
Continue.
Thank you. Again, lower density doesn't necessarily mean better mixed-use projects. The density there helps the development and the commercial sustain itself. The financing's different. There's a lot of developers that do commercial development. There's a lot that do residential development. There's not a lot that do both. And the financing's also different. There's a lot of programs for the residential components, the commercial components, but not a lot for a mixed-use project. So it often involves private funding for these things. And so we would just ask for your consideration of that when you hear a rezoning request. The 51% would probably be too high in many instances. But like I said, we're looking forward to bringing forward to you what we think will be a good development proposal for your consideration. And I appreciate your time listening to me this evening. Thank you.
Nichols.
Victoria Truitt.
That was just an option. Just an option.
That's all I have. Is there anyone here that didn't sign up that would like to speak concerning this public hearing? Again, is there anyone here that would like to speak concerning this public hearing? This is on the comprehensive land use plan.
I can't hear you anyway. You have to get closer to the speaker.
Evening, and my name is Elizabeth Henry. I live at 124 Leyland Way. Congratulations, Madam Mayor and new council member. Glad to have you guys. Just going off of what I just heard, I know that when Evolve was requesting rezoning the first time, if I'm not mistaken, it was utilities and wastewater. That was the issue that really was the denial phase. So I was just curious in the future, and obviously I'm not asking a question. I know that with that new plan, it specifically stated that one of the concerns was that our utilities and wastewater were able to keep up with the growth. Maybe I misunderstood because everybody's looking at me questionably, so maybe I just misunderstood. But I just wanted to say that that would still be one of my concerns, is just that we still have space in schools as well as with wastewater and utilities keeping up. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Good evening, council. My name is Marty Martin, 1825 North Two Rivers Drive. Congratulations on the new councilman. Congratulations, Madam Mayor. All starting all new. I got a couple of things here. I'm kind of like Uncle Billy and It's a Wonderful Life. I got stuff written down in my hand. First of all, I'd like to give kudos to the police force. I was doing a reading background today.
Mr. Martin, we are still on the comprehensive
I'm
land
sorry.
use plan. We are going to have public comments here shortly.
I'm sorry, I don't hear well. You're not close enough to the mic. I can't hear you.
Give us 5 more minutes.
Sorry, I'm not much of a public speaker, so I'm going to go off book here. Good evening, members of City Council. I am here today to discuss the potential negatives of a restrictive future land use plan. First, if a land use plan is too restrictive, it can lack flexibility, making it difficult for communities.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. Sir, could you identify yourself?
Sorry, my name is Hunter Young. I work for Evolve Companies. We did the Evolve at Surf City project, and I believe Matt just came in. I just got in from work, so.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I just wanted the minutes to reflect who you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first, if a land use plan is too restrictive, it can lack flexibility, making it difficult for communities to adapt to the changing needs and circumstances. This can prevent new development opportunities and limit the response to economic shifts. These plans can limit the growth of local businesses and discourage new companies from setting up shop in the area, leading to reduced economic growth. If future plans are too strict, which these appear to be, it can result in the inefficient use of land, as land is zoned for specific uses regardless of the market demand. This will reduce the overall value of properties in the area, leading to the decreased property values for all. Many of these concerns can be alleviated by keeping a planned development zoning. Furthermore, strict development ordinances can drive up the cost of building new homes and making it difficult for lower income families to afford housing, leading to a lack of affordable housing in the area. Land use plans are often developed by a small group of officials or planners with limited public input, resulting in plans that may not reflect the needs and desires of the community. So I thank you for taking the time to hear me out this evening and everyone in the community. In conclusion, while strict future land use plans may have good intentions, they also have the potential to have negative impacts on communities. It is important for City Council to consider these potential negatives and make informed decisions about land use planning in our town. Thank you.
Mr. Young. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this public hearing? One last time. Anybody want to speak on the public hearing?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. At this time, I'm going to ask the council if they have any questions or discussions. If they do, we can have Wes come back forward and answer any questions you might have.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yes, I'm fine. Sorry.
I know we have worked on this for like the last 6 months, and I think the planning board has done a very well job, along with council, looking over this comp plan moving forward, and we appreciate all your hard work that you put into it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I mean, I'm happy to discuss any of the comments or not. It's up. I'll leave it up to you guys. Thank you. And I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to work with the town on this project.
Thank you.
I believe there is an adoption ordinance for this. Thank you.
So at this time, I'm going to ask for an adoption of the plan.
I make a motion, we adopt the plan.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public comments. Mr. Martin.
You're up.
Mr. Martin.
It's all you, Marty.
Sorry about that. Again, congratulations, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and new Councilman Hugh. I appreciate you coming. I've got a couple of things I'd like to ask. Kudos out to the police force. I did some research on the last 4 years. The drug problem has dropped almost down to nothing on this island because of their work. Traffic, it was very interesting to read, so kudos to the chief and his crew. Street, people in charge of the streets, thanks for fixing the sidewalk that was screwed up between 6th and 7th Street. They really did a mess of a job. It now looks great. Thanks a lot for taking care of that. My dogs and I and all the people that walk on it appreciate it. It's soft now. Stop signs at crosswalks. Any way we can get stop signs put at the crosswalks, or evidently some of these people can't read. When you get your license, you're supposed to know all the signs in North Carolina, but evidently there's a lot of people that don't. And believe it or not, it's not the outsiders that's doing most of the running when you're trying to walk across the street. It's the people from North Carolina. And somebody's going to get hit. So if you could put a sign that says stop for pedestrians, that would really help us out. Summertime is coming. I'd like for you to look into that for us, please. Police force streets. Code enforcements, thanks a lot for coming over to corner of 5th Street and cleaning that up, although they did leave some mess behind. If you could get a chance to run back out there and look at it, I'd appreciate it. It does look a lot better, but it's still some crap left by the builder, and it's not very attractive to our city. I appreciate it. The other thing is, I don't hear good, as you just found out, but if you could get closer to your mic when you are speaking, Councilman Shugarts, the one that just really on the mic, and I hear every word he says. I understand him, even though he's not want me to, but I do understand every word he says. But if you could get closer to that mic, old people like myself with hearing aids would appreciate it, because your sound system is horrible. When I go home, I'll have to put my earsets on and bring up this council meeting to hear it with that way. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Marty.
Oh, one other thing. One other thing. When you say we approve this agenda, what agendas are you talking about?
The one that is posted on our website, the meeting agenda
Yeah?
for tonight. So the agenda was approved.
Okay.
So everything on this agenda, that's what it's talking about.
Okay. Could you get more copies put out, like when you got lots, people are building stuff and all? Could you get more printouts put out onto your program for we'll know more when we come to our meeting? Got one. When we come, thank you, though. When we come to our meeting, we can have a chance to look at what's going to be presented to us, like for building and things like that. I'd appreciate it. Something to look into. Okay?
A lot of that is looked at during our workshop meeting as well. So if you want to start coming to our workshop, you'll probably see a lot more of those type items at the workshop.
Good answer.
Yes, sir.
Online, too.
And
Good
it's online.
answer. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Lori Cairo.
Council, Madam Mayor, thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Lori Cairo, and I am a former Surf City employee. Surf City has been my hometown beach for the past 25 years. I was employed with Surf City for the past 11 months and worked at the Welcome and Event Center as coordinator for the past 11 months and was unjust dismissed on January 13th. I wrote you all an email weeks ago, and I have yet to hear back. So this is a formal request to hear from all of you, please. After weeks of seeking clarification on my dismissal, it was told that I was not a right fit for Surf City. I was a right fit for my staff, my coworkers, my supervisor. I was a right fit for the tourists who walked into the Welcome Center, for our patrons who needed beach wheelchairs, and for every single person that came in wanting a beach wedding. I was the right fit for every wedding, funeral, shower, graduation party, reunion, corporate meeting, and rental that we booked. I was the right fit to grow our social media, and I was the right fit to work on our special event committee. I was also the right fit to oversee the staff in the facility, manage renovations, and increase the revenue for our department. I have over 15 years of Parks and Rec experience. I was great at my job. So again, I ask, who wasn't I the right fit for? Because it wasn't Surf City. I have a list of over 20 town employees across all departments and the subcommittee that can speak to my character, my teamwork, my work ethic, my passion, and my love for this town. From an employee's perspective, I'd like to inform you that the Surf City Park, Recreation, and Tourism Department is broken. I urge you to fix it. The leadership is unethical and weak. I urge you to fix it. HR should be the middle ground between employee and employer, and that is not the case. I urge you to fix it. A town should not have handfuls of talented full-time employees leaving a department. If they do, something is very wrong. Surf City is growing way too fast to have upper management not know how to manage and leaders that don't know how to lead. When new staff members are told, just keep your head down, it's an election year. You should be ashamed of that. That is what the director is telling new employees. We have to do better than that. Your employees deserve better than that. The town deserves better than that. We work here because we love this town and we love giving back to our community. I absolutely love Surf City. This town, as I said before, has been my hometown beach for the past 25 years. This was nothing other than a personal vendetta and handled recklessly and carelessly. You all have the power to bring back integrity, honesty, and empathy back into this department. The question is, do you have the courage to? Thank you.
Sandy Monroe.
I just have a couple of things. First, I want to thank everyone who came out to the mural unveiling event last night. I think we had a great turnout. I hope you're all very pleased with how the mural looks. And maybe we can this year start talking about some other spots, but who knows. But thank you, everyone, who came out, in public and council. I appreciate it. And our committee who did all the work. Some of my committee members are here today, and we really appreciate the support, and I appreciate all of you. Upcoming projects, we have a cigarette butt recycling program that we're getting started, and we're looking into some projects that we might be able to do along the corridor area for beautification in that area. I also wanted to say our next meeting is on Tuesday the 21st. We meet the third Tuesday of every month, and we welcome the public. The meeting's at 4:30, and it's right here in Council Chamber area. And then aside from Beautification Committee, I had one question, and that is there a timeline for the removal and disposal of the fallen sign that's on the corner of Roland and Topsail Drive that's been sitting down there on the ground and in the way for about 2-3 months now? And I just wondered if that was on someone's radar to get that taken care of. And that's all I have. Thank you. Oh, I also saw that representatives from Surf City Barbecue arrived. Is that correct? Jeremy mentioned that. Maybe we can.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Do you mind if we do that?
Yes, please do. Rebecca, if you want to come on forward with Surf City Barbecue for their Business of the Month Award. It's okay.
We wanted to thank you for all of the generous contributions that you make to the community. You're very supportive of a lot of the things that are happening, and we really appreciate you. And we recently expanded the definition of what it means to enhance Surf City, which now includes things like helping out in other programs and volunteer opportunities. So we really appreciate you, and thank you so much.
That's it. All right, that is the end of our public comment section, and I do want to say, Sandy, you and your team did an awesome job yesterday. It was a really great event, and all your volunteer work and hours do not go unappreciated. Thank you. So our next item here will lead us into the manager's report, and I'll call on Cal Brewer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Good afternoon, and members of the public who are here. I'll try to speak up as much as I can, Mr. Martin, and we'll certainly follow up with those items that you had mentioned. Thank you for bringing those to our attention. First thing I want to talk about is the federal project. We had representatives from our division, which is in Atlanta, come up to Surf City with our district representatives to look at our beach. They are excited to get that general reevaluation report done, and they're going to be here, committed to be here in April to talk to council about the progress of that report. That will most likely be led by Colonel Burnham, as Colonel Bennett has been called to duty in Puerto Rico on a power project. So we might be transitioning from Colonel Bennett a little bit, but we understand the project will keep on moving forward. So just wanted to give you that update. Last month I had reported that the grant application had been submitted for funding for a beach management plan. I'm happy to announce that we were awarded that grant in the amount of $30,000. So we'll work with the Shoreline and Resilience Committee to oversee that project and get somebody qualified to come in and help us with that beach management plan. Essentially, that will help the town with our static vegetation line and things that we have to have in place with Division of Coastal Management for permitting, and then just looking at long-term strategies, even though we'll be a federally engineered beach following the core project. Just wanted to mention the mural wall dedication yesterday afternoon. It was a successful event, successful project, and I wanted to thank the Beautification Enhancement Committee for all the work that y'all do. A lot of volunteering going on, and all of our committees really that do a lot of hard work in the community. Some folks may have got notifications for our stormwater project along South Shore Drive. The CAMA minor permit has been applied for in order for us to do that work. A part of the construction within an area of environmental concern requires public notification. So we had almost 70 property notifications go out. If you do have questions about that, please give me a call. My contact information is on that. But we are moving closer to those 90% plans so that project can go to bid and we can hopefully see that project through construction here shortly. On the topic of budget, we continue to work on the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Departmental line items for all departments are due by February 24th. Presentations will be given to you at your March 17th work session by department heads. As a reminder, we'll hold a council retreat on February 28th, so a couple of weeks. And then last meeting, I announced that we lost our finance director, but we've been able to secure and hire a new finance director. Her name is Melissa Moore. She is currently serving as the finance officer for Jones County Schools. Ms. Moore has held previous positions as the finance officer for Jones County Government, an internal auditor for Onslow County, and also served as their solid waste director for Onslow County. So Ms. Moore will bring a good set of knowledge and skills to help our department heads, help myself, and help guide the town to solid financial decisions as we move forward. So just wanted to let you know that she will, her first date to start will be March 6th to take over that role. Another big project that's been going on for a few months is our East Coast Greenway feasibility study. This is a multi-use path feasibility study, essentially looking at connections from the North Topsail Beach Surf City line down the island to the bridge, and then on the mainland side of the bridge, then going to 210 and going out to 17, eventually connecting in with Pender County and areas then further south. But I received a draft report on that yesterday. The study examines the preferred routes and connections, again, from the north side of the island all the way out 210 to 17. There's going to be a drop-in public meeting in the council chambers on February 21st from 5:30 to 7:30, where residents can review the overall project, the community stakeholder input, the resulting recommended routes, phasing, and preliminary costs. And I'll be working with both planning and parks on this project to identify next steps once final comments have been submitted. So now we have a high-level blueprint to move forward and start identifying these projects and start tackling those as we see fit. They'll hold their final steering committee meeting on Monday, February 27th. And then just a quick update, the rollback program. So we continue to make strides to be able to implement the trash and recycling rollback services. We've got one more part-time employee to get on board. But two employees have already been onboarded and working through that process. And then we'll be working to implement the program the first Monday in March, and additional information will be going out in regards to that. Not a overly fun reminder, but just as a reminder, parking management will resume on March 1st. Pivot and the town are working to make sure parking areas are taken care of, appropriate signage is up. We don't anticipate any major changes to the program this year, and then Pivot will be presenting a year in review at your retreat. For our residents in here, if there's been no changes, from last year, you won't have to go back in and register for that. But of course, if you got a new vehicle or new license plate or moved or whatnot, you'll need to go through that process. It'll be all, you can do it all online or visit them at 305 North New River at their office. Their full staff will be back mid-February, and we'll kick off that registration process. So just want to let everybody know that. And then last week, Mayor Batts and I met with our state representatives, along with delegates from the Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission, mainly to discuss the TISPC priorities as they revolve around state affected items. And then next week, Surf City delegation will again travel back to Raleigh to discuss Surf City legislative priorities, which include, among other things, but state match funding for beach nourishment, wastewater funding, parks funding, and other topics. So a lot of hard work going into that to make sure that Surf City stays on top of their radar when they're in Raleigh and they're thinking back about us. And then lastly, just wanted to give the community a heads up that the police department will be publishing their year in review. Chief Voorhees he's not here, but we'll pass along the good words there, but they'll be publishing their annual report. And then this year, new to their program of reporting will be a separate document on community policing. I know council got that, so if you do have any questions or comments, please let Chief or myself know. But I think that addendum to that annual report, talking about all the community policing programs that they do, is certainly a positive thing for our community, and we appreciate the work that the chief and, of course, all departments are doing for the town. So that concludes my report. Madam Mayor, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Kyle. Anyone have any questions concerning the manager's report?
Just one. How long has the Corps had our reevaluation sitting up in Atlanta?
So the reevaluation will be done at the district level. However, I will say that the authorization to start that report had been essentially delayed until they could determine how they were going to fund it internally. So that's been, Councilman Fowler, months before they were able to initiate the general reevaluation report, being that necessary next step. So to answer your question, months.
Let me re-ask the question a different way, because I thank you for that answer.
Yes, sir.
The time we have spent whenever North Topsail Beach decided that they couldn't financially go with this project with us, and it was Corps of Engineers' idea to lump us together for the project, and then we said we'd stand on our own. Roughly, what has that time frame been since then?
July of 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
We're looking almost 2 years.
Yes, sir. From when, and that's from the trigger point in which North Topsail Beach submitted their letter withdrawing from the project.
And they're coming here April, right?
Yep.
I can get my other questions answered then. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just so you know, when the guy came, well, there was 4 of them that came from the Army Corps. 2 were local, and I think a couple of them were from the Atlantic Division. I'll get a little closer for you. It was super high tide, and we came over across the Roland, the Kinston access, and we started driving north, and we were hugging that dune close, and we got to the surf condos, and we couldn't go any further unless we went in the water with the truck. And he said, well, you can't go in the water because Kyle's going to, get mad at us. So we turned around and came back. And then we rode down to the Topsail Beach line with the guy from Atlanta that came, Mr. Wilbur. He was, first time he had ever been here, and he said it was eye-opening for him to actually, he's heard about this project, but for him to put his eyes on it just made everything open up for him. So he was like, I will move forward. We will get this project moving. So there's not a doubt in my mind they haven't given up on us. They're having to dot every I, cross every T. They are working hard to get us there. If we don't have any other comments on the manager's report, we will move to new business, item 1, and call on Amy Kimes for our easy and mini storage expansion.
So in your packet tonight is a request for a site plan review for the Surf City Easy Mini Storage expansion, or really it's the completion of this original project. It's located at 14001 NC Highway 50 and is about 3.18 acres. In 2004, I was able to find an original site plan from 2004 that had the hardware store and 2 storage units on it, and it requested to add a proposed restaurant and bait and tackle store with associated parking, 9 self-storage buildings with an on-site office, a shop, and an open-air storage area. Over the past 18 years, the site has been modified from the original approval. In place of the bait and tackle store restaurant, a whole building was built and is now occupied by the furniture store. Also, 5 of the 9 self-storage buildings, the office, and the shop were built. The dimensions of the shop and 4 of the self-storage buildings were smaller than what was proposed on the original plan. However, 1 storage building was larger. The current project would like to move forward. Thank you, sir. The current project would like to move forward with just that back parcel. So they kind of separated them out so that the mini storage is no longer a part of the old hardware store, but Sierra Global and the furniture store. So we're just looking at that back 3.18 acres. So the project will leave the existing 7 self-storage buildings and the office as is, but will remove the existing shop. The applicant requests to place 3 additional climate-controlled buildings in the previously approved area for buildings and open-air storage. So there will be no open-air storage on this site for the proposed project. This will bring the site to 10 self-storage buildings with 1 office building. We do not anticipate a significant change in the vehicular traffic impacts as we're decreasing the shop, which was an active landscape business that came and went throughout the day, and adding the additional storage. We do not have any road frontage, so we will not be adding any bike or pedestrian facilities. We will continue to utilize Surf City sewer and water. They will be upgrading the 1-inch domestic water line to a 6-inch fire main so that they can add a fire hydrant. The storm water is through the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. They've worked over the past 2 years to get everything fixed and updated with their state storm water permit. This project will build the 3rd pond that was a part of the original approval. There will not be any expansion with the existing parking. A 5-foot vegetated buffer will be provided around the site per town ordinances. And for the architecture, the proposed buildings are the completion of an existing site plan. The applicant has requested to continue the project matching the existing architecture. The applicant will add shutters along the exterior sides of the buildings to provide an architectural detail that breaks up the large-scale building facade. So where you'll now be able to see those buildings from J.H. Batts, they will have an architectural element to keep it from being just a big metal building. Planning Board voted to recommend approval of the site plan and architectural elements at the January 12th, 2023 meeting. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. The architectural and site plan are in your packet.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, if I may. Ms. Kimes, the larger water main and the shutters and the other conditions, are those contained in the site plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So an approval of that site plan would require those things,
Yes, sir.
whether they're otherwise required by the ordinance or not.
They are required by the ordinance and they are in the site plan.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, sir, wasn't close enough.
Is there a timeline for them to complete your request?
They're ready to move when we start. So once we finish the site plan, they'll apply for building permits. They are ready to move forward.
Is there a timeline for them to complete? Like, do you have a timeline?
I do not have a timeline. My understanding is that they plan to build all 3 buildings at once. But with the site plan approval, if they don't complete the project within 9 months, they would have to come back. I can extend it for a certain period of time at a staff level, and then once that time expires, they would have to come back for council, which is pretty much why we're here now. They didn't build it fast enough the first time.
Before they start building, do they have to put the water line in?
Yes. Before they can get CO, the water line will have to be in. It is a metal building, so there won't be combustibles on site. The fire hydrant coming in earlier would be based on the combustibles being on site, but they will have to have it before they can CO the buildings. And they have worked with the property owners on the front and obtained an easement down that main drive aisle to put that 6-inch water line in.
Make a recommendation, we follow this planning board's direction and approve this.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those the same. If you disagree, say aye. Hearing none, motion carried. Item number 2 under new business is the Seacoast Realty expansion. Amy.
Before you tonight is a site plan approval for the Seacoast Realty expansion. The project is currently located at 326 and 328 North New River Drive. The 2 parcels together equate about 0.23 acres, and it is in our C1 zoning district. So the site consists of a 2-story office building and a single-story storage building garage. The office building houses both the real estate sales and commercial rental offices, while the garage is used mostly for storage related to the rental business. The lots are located in the C1 zoning, allowing for office structures as a by right use. The proposed project will reconfigure the existing Seacoast Realty office and storage building into a single office structure. So they're taking the 2 buildings and sticking them together, basically, with a lot of engineering behind that. The new structure will be approximately 4,214 square feet. The proposal combines the lots located at 326 and 328 North New River, so that lot line will go away as a part of this project. And that allows us to build across the lot line because of setbacks and whatnot. The new office building is not expected to impact traffic significantly. The existing driveway layout in here, it says, will remain the same with the one-way traffic circulation pattern. They are still working with DOT. There will be a minor change. Right now, the driveway is basically the whole frontage of both streets, and it will be removed and narrowed down so that they're actual driveways and not street frontage of access. So that will be fixed with this change of use. For bicycle and pedestrian, we will be requiring a sidewalk to be placed within the right-of-way adjacent to the property line. That will be a part of the driveway permit with the NCDOT because that is a NCDOT right-of-way. The office is currently utilizing our sewer and water, and they will continue to utilize that. The site will provide stormwater in accordance with the town's stormwater regulation, which is the first 1.5 inches in 24 hours will be treated, which is similar to Diener. The C1 zoning requires that a business, if you are going to provide parking, you have to meet our technical standards. But C1 does have an exemption that allows that you do not have to meet the minimum requirement. So they will not be meeting the minimum requirement, but they will be providing 9 parking spaces with one of those being handicapped. The existing landscape will be utilized where it can. Additional landscape will be added. The original plan showed it in the right-of-way. We've removed all improvements in the right-of-way, whether they're old or new. The architecture worked with the town staff to provide additional coastal features for the reconfiguration of the building. The renderings are provided in your packet for your review. The site expands an existing allowable use within the C1 zoning. Planning Board recommended approval as submitted at their last meeting.
I make a motion we go along with the planning board's approval.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Amy.
I'm making a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina GS 143-318.11, parentheses A, parentheses 6, personnel.
Do we have a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We are going into closed session. and no action was taken during closed session. Do I have any motions?
Yes, I have two motions. The first one is that we are going to give our town manager, I make a motion to come out of closed session first.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say the same.
Now,
Motion carried.
My first motion is that we, as a council, has made the decision to give our town manager a one-time $7,500 net bonus.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just to clarify, the motion would be to award that bonus, not that the decision's already been made, just so the minutes accurately reflect the motion. Is that your motion, Mr. Helms?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carried.
My third motion is to repeat that, Councilman.
If I understood you correctly, Mr. Helms, to award the town clerk a one-time net bonus of $1,000.
That's correct. That's my motion.
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carried. At this time, does any council have anything to say? Jeremy?
No, Mrs. Mayor, we're fine, thank you.
We got our new one down there.
I'd like to thank everyone for staying, supporting me on my inaugural meeting. I see good things in the future.
Anyone else?
Glad to have Ms. Cannady on board and looking forward to working with him, that's all.
I'll ditto that.
I have known him ever since he's been here, and it's a pleasure to work with him. You will enjoy it, folks.
No legal report, Madam Mayor, but echo the sentiments. I welcome Mr. Kennedy to the council, and I congratulate both the town manager and town clerk for their well-deserved bonuses, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Before we do that, I got one thing to mention. To all those within my voice and listening, February 14th is coming up. That's Valentine's Day, so get out and get something for your significant other. Thank you. That's it.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.